me a screw, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of, What If Ichigo Enters Claymore? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Hollowfied tweaker on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Southeast of Pieta. 5 men stand in the midst of death, destruction, and chaos. On one side, a former organization scientist along with a small group of former Claymore soldiers turned awakened beings. On the other side, a substitute Shinigami named Ichigo Kurosaki who was accidentally transported to this world by strange forces beyond his control. Several other individuals watch from the sidelines as the situation unfolds. These individuals include a group of 5 Claymore warriors, 4 of which are injured or incapacitated, a mysterious organization member dressed in all black and a former single-digit Claymore warrior. Ichigo's intentions are quite clear, as are the 4 other men involved. They plan on using him to complete experiments which will create enormously powerful awakened beings, possibly more powerful than any of the 3 abyssal ones. Ichigo plans on killing every single one of them. Normally, he needed a reason to fight someone. This time however, something is different, his demeanor has changed, there's a BLD lust building up inside him. He will not stop until everyone is dead. I guess I'm just gonna choose to kill you all. Placing his left hand over his forehead, he begins to summon his hollow mask. It quickly materializes above his head, alarming everyone in the immediate area. He's got a white mask. Miria says, stupefied. Interesting. So you've got a mask just like those hollow creatures, states Zyger. I'd be correct to assume that you're a hollow as well or some type of hollow/human hybrid, akin to the organization's Yoma/human hybrid soldiers. Am I correct? First of all, I don't give a SHT about what you're saying, and second, it's not gonna matter anyway because I'm about to beat all of you to death. I see. And how exactly are you going to accomplish this feat? Just because you were able to defeat one of my men, I highly doubt you will be able to defeat the remaining 3, especially in your current condition. You sure do talk a lot, I think I'm going to kill you first. You're very arrogant, considering the company you're in. Despite your massive power, you're still no match for the remaining warriors. The only one to be of slight help to you is Galatia, and at the moment, she's incapacitated. There is no one else. Shut up. I'm really gonna enjoy ripping that tongue out of your mouth. Your threats do not amuse me. I really wanted to avoid further bloodshed, but you've forced my hand. Reinhardt, Lovino, Gulliver, kill this silly, little boy, but be certain to bring back enough usable material, especially his mask. Zyger steps back as the 3 men begin to release their Yoma/hollow powers. Ichigo stares at them, unimpressed, placing his hand over the mask. Just then, Miria makes a sudden appearance with her sword drawn. Who the hell are you? HMN. Her name is Phantom Miria, former number 6 who was assumed killed in the battle at Pieta along with 23 other Claymores, not long ago. It would seem that the information was inaccurate. You know about me? Obviously. I was wondering if you were going to make an appearance, although at the time, I wasn't exactly sure who you were. So, you knew I was here all along. Yes, even though you're using Yoki suppression medicine, I can still sense you. I also know that Louv is here as well. He's been here for quite some time observing us. You're probably wondering why I haven't yet silenced him. The answer to that question is quite simple. I'd rather not waste time or effort to bother with an insect that poses no threat to us. If he were to inform the organization about my activities, I'm certain they would try to activate Alicia and Beth, but neither are ready for a battle of this magnitude, they'll just be lambs to the slaughter. Number 1 and 2. Yes. Anyhow, the organization is currently busy with other things to be concerned with us. I know what you're planning, Zeger. I'll do everything I can to stop you. Oh. You're willing to risk your life for a stranger? No, not for him, but for the rest of us that'll be caught up in your power struggle. And what exactly can you do to stop me? Move. You're in the way. Ichigo swings his Zanpakuto at Miria, but only manages to slice through her mirage as she reappears several feet away. What are you doing? I'm trying to help. Did I ask for your help? What? I never asked for, or do I even need your help? You arrogant. Don't get in my way. If you do, I'll cut you down. Excuse me. Ichigo slides his mask over his face and suddenly, he's engulfed by an explosion of black Ryuryoku. The sheer downpour of his Ryatsu is so dense and heavy that it threatens to suffocate everyone in close proximity. This mask, however, is slightly different and seemingly more powerful than his previous one, with 2 large vertical stripes starting from the top of the mask, running down over both of its eyes and past its mouth. What's happening? This pressure I'm feeling again, it's worse than before. Morgan says with a heavy breath. SHT. What the hell did he do this time? What is this? His yoki dramatically increased and is still rising exponentially, a surprised, but fascinated Zeger states, the energy he's putting forth is so vast that it's destructively affecting the surrounding area. It feels as though my chest is being crushed. With this much power, I need to. Something's different. His yoki has gotten so immense that I can feel it somehow affecting, probably even changing my own yoki, says a surprised Miria. Should I help or kill him before he becomes a threat to this world? As soon as Ichigo's black Ryuryoku dissipates, everyone bears witness to his hollow form. The glaring stare from his black and yellow eyes causes fear to grow within Zeger as well as the 2 Claymores. His voice becomes deeper and more ominous with a reverberating echo. You're all going to die. Reinhardt, fall back. What? At everyone's current level, none of you are a match for him. I miscalculated. No. I detest fleeing, an angry Lovino growls, I would rather die fighting. I've gotta agree. We're warriors, we don't retreat. You'll be 3 dead warriors if you don't. He's right, both of you, Reinhardt responds, the boy has gotten a lot stronger since putting on that mask. We'll have another chance to avenge Lugar when the time is right, but for now, follow orders. Alright, we'll listen this time. Reinhardt, Lovino, Gulliver, collect the cadaver of that hollow which the boy defeated and regroup at the predetermined location. Its power level should be enough to continue the experiments for the moment. We're finished here, orders Zeger. None of you are going anywhere. Ichigo swings his Zanpakuto and releases a tidal wave of black energy with a destructive force of 12 Getsuga. Everyone scatter. The 4 of them split up in different directions, locating and collecting different parts of the fallen Jillian while narrowly avoiding Ichigo's attack. They regroup at the rallying point in the southern part of the valley and swiftly move southwest, towards the mountainous region of Zakal. A blizzard begins to blow into the valley, causing near whiteout conditions and extremely low visibility. Humph, running away like pussies. I should hunt them all down, but first. He looks over to Miria. It's your fault. Excuse me. If you didn't show up when you did, they'd all be dead right now. I told you before, I came here to help you. No, you came here to help yourself, not me. Now, I'm gonna take my anger out on you. What? Ichigo swings his Zanpakuto at Miria again, but like before he doesn't hit anything except her mirage. However, as soon as she reappears, he appears next to her and grabs her by the throat. You showed me that trick already, you're gonna need a new one. What are you doing? I'm gonna snap your neck for pissing me off. He looks down to stare at her body. On second thought, you're pretty attractive, maybe I'll have some fun with you before. Put her down. Huh? I said put her down, now. Ichigo turns his head to see Morgan, Tiffany and Laura with their swords drawn. You've got 3 seconds to leave. The 3 Claymores stand their ground. What a waste. Well, can't be helped, I guess. Ichigo disappears, dropping Miria to the ground then reappearing in front of the Claymores. He quickly kicks Tiffany in her head then using the blunt side of his Zanpakuto, strikes Laura in her midsection, effectively knocking them out in a matter of seconds. Morgan begins to release her Yoma powers, turning her eyes golden yellow and snake-like as Ichigo looks on in curiosity. She continues releasing more Yoki, distorting her face and body and becoming more bestial. Huh? Stop! Miria yells, you're pushing yourself past your limit. If you keep going, you're going to awaken. Awaken? Ichigo grabs Morgan by the face, throws her high in the air then slams her hard into the ground, knocking her unconscious. He presses the tip of Zangetsu against her neck. Too bad, you repugnant bee, I'm gonna kill you sooner than I wanted, Getsuga. He glances over to Galatia's motionless body. Getsuga 10, what the hell was I about to do? He lowers his Zanpakuto while dispelling the hollow mask and stares at his quivering hand. What am I becoming? What the hell is happening to me? You seem to be back to normal, so I'm putting an end to this while I've got the opportunity. Ichigo turns to see Miria pressing her blade against his neck. You've become a greater threat than Zeger and his people. I've got no choice but to kill you. But You may think you're innocent, but after what I witnessed, it seems your own power is consuming you. Your split personality is a testament to that. Split personality? What, you don't remember how you suddenly turned into a psychotic maniac, trying to kill everything in sight? I do, but it didn't seem real. It seemed more like a dream, like I was watching myself from the outside. Well, trust me, it was very real. Galatia. Ichigo pushes Miria's sword away and runs over to Galatia's location. He drops his Zanpakuto and carefully checks her for any signs of life. Galatia, are you, O.K. She'll be fine. Her wounds aren't too severe. What do you mean not too severe? She was stabbed in the back. She's a defensive type warrior, giving her a greater ability to heal. To her, these wounds are minor, but she'll still need some time to do so. With the weather worsening, she'll also need a safe place to rest. Then please do me a favor. What is it? Take those other women to safety. And what are you going to do? I'm taking Galatia to a safe place. You know, we're not finished here. I still have to deal with you. Deal with me later. I don't think I'll be going anywhere, in a while. I constantly leak out a lot of Ryatsu, so it shouldn't be too hard to find me. Ryatsu? Miria watches as Ichigo picks Galatia up and carries her off, vanishing in the heavy snowfall. She turns around and walks towards the group of fallen Claymores. I've got to decide exactly what I'm going to do with him. What's this? He left his. Miria bends down and picks up Ichigo's Zanpakuto as black Ryatsu begins to slowly form around her arm. She feels a cold shiver run down her spine. What's happening? As the blizzard intensifies, the faint outline of an unknown figure begins to appear then quickly fade in the violent snowstorm. The person utters a single name while laughing maniacally. Kurosaki. Unknown location. Miria finds herself cautiously walking forward, unaware of her current surroundings due to the heavy fog that seems to stretch for miles. The silence is almost deafening and definitely eerie. Where am I? What is this place? How did I get here? She thinks to herself. I'm barely able to see in front of me and this ground feels different, it's as though I'm stepping on glass. She continues walking slowly in the same direction until she comes across something unusual. What is this? Asking herself aloud, it looks like the boy's sword before he transformed. Why is it stuck into the ground like this? Reaching for the Zanpakuto, she stops before actually making contact with it. Wait, the last time I touched his sword, I ended up here, in this strange place. What are you so afraid of? What? Who's there? Who said that? I did. Do you see anyone else around? Miria turns around, scanning the surrounding area, but doesn't see anyone. She quickly turns back to face the Zanpakuto. Where are you? Who are you? Who am I? I'm Zangetsu. She looks down to realize the deep, somewhat menacing voice is coming from the Zanpakuto. The sword is talking. How? Wait, did you say Zangetsu? Yes. Isn't that the name the boy calls his sword? Yes. How is it possible that I'm talking to a sword? You have many questions, but time is a luxury we don't have. So, I'll try to answer as much as I can. I am Ichigo's Zanpakuto. Zanpakuto? Unlike a normal sword, which is practically just a tool created by those of the living, a Zanpakuto is the physical manifestation of a death god's soul, concentrated in the form of a sword, used to send the spirits of the dead to the soul society and also, to exorcise evil spirits. Death god? Soul society? A race of spiritual beings whose main purpose is to maintain the balance of souls between the world of the living and the afterlife, which is called the soul society. You said, spiritual. What exactly do you mean by that? Are you saying that this boy, Ichigo, is some kind of spirit? More or less. He's actually human, who at times, substitutes as a death god when the need arises. What about those giant creatures with holes in the center of their bodies, are they spirits as well? Yes. They're called hollows, corrupt spirits with spiritual powers. They devour the souls of the deceased as well as the living. As with all spiritual beings, they are invisible to those in the world of the living, except for the few humans with a substantial amount of spiritual powers. Well, if they are supposed to be invisible, how is it possible that we are able to see them? This includes Louv, a normal human. That's something I can't answer. Your world is strange, even to me. We were pulled into this world by forces beyond my understanding. Then answer this, where am I and how did I get here? You're inside Ichigo's inner world. A type of physical manifestation of his subconscious. For some reason, I was able to bring you here. Your souls seem to be connected somehow. The only logical explanation is, you are his twin soul. Twin soul. The one and only other half of one's soul, for which all souls are driven to find and join. The ultimate soulmate. Soulmate? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, besides he tried to kill me. It wasn't him, so to speak. What do you mean? He was temporarily, possessed by the same one that trapped us, sealed us within this sword. Who is us and what do you mean by sealed? Myself and the hollow inside Ichigo's soul, who is a part of me. A hollow inside his soul. A part of you? That is unimportant for the moment, because the hollow was unexpectedly subdued by him. We were forced into this form, then plunged deep into the ground, unable to escape. Because of that, I was able to take control, for the time being. In our current state, I am unable to help Ichigo in any way, but he can still access our powers. Who is it that trapped you here? Something, wicked and evil. The more Ichigo's heart and mind are tormented, the stronger he becomes, until he takes full control of Ichigo. In this world, the sky is usually blue, but when Ichigo's heart is in chaos, the sky becomes clouded. When he grieves, it rains so easily. What do you see before you? Fog, and it seems to be getting thicker. Precisely. If he is able to take over, you and your world could possibly be in terrible danger. I saw Ichigo's power firsthand, He seems more of a menace than any of the awakened beings that reside on these lands. What you saw was just a fraction of Ichigo's power, which he is currently only able to tap into. I'm certain that if the other takes control, he'll quickly learn to utilize all of it. Just a fraction? Yes. What do you need from me? Are you asking me to free you? Pull you out from the ground? I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do that. There's only one person who can, and that's Ichigo, himself. So what do you want me to do? Help him, make sure he doesn't succumb to the evil that's building within him. You want me to help him? If I were to agree, which I sincerely have the utmost reservations about, what makes you think I can accomplish such a task? I can't force you to do anything, you must make that decision yourself, and if you are who I believe you are, you can do this. And if I decide to just kill him before he poses a threat to my world? Do what you must, there's nothing I can do to stop you. But understand this, after arriving in his inner world, Ichigo's immense spiritual energy has already affected you. I doubt you'll be able to kill him without a second thought, like you mentioned. We'll see. Unfortunately, our time here's ended. Miria suddenly finds herself standing in the same spot where she picked up Zangetsu. The blanket of snow covering the ground of the valley seems to have gotten deeper. I'm back. Was it all just a dream? She looks around to see several Claymores lying unconscious on the ground, covered in snow. She places Zangetsu in a secure location within her cloak, then quickly moves towards the fallen warriors, unaware that her speed has increased by a substantial amount. I've got to get these warriors to safety before they freeze to death. Louv watches as Miria swiftly moves each Claymore from the valley floor to a forested area within the hills. His creepy smirk seems to grow wider with each passing second. He silently makes his way to Miria's location as she brings the last of the women warriors to safety. I see you've managed to rescue all the surviving soldiers in no time at all. However, I don't recall you being able to move that quickly before without the use of your Yoma powers, which is apparent due to your eyes remaining silver in color. You were barely visible, just a blur to my eyes. How were you able to do that? A new power perhaps? So, you're still here. How cold of you. Look, I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyways, it doesn't matter. What matters is, I was able to save them before they froze. Oh, I beg to differ. It matters quite a bit, you see. How so? To be honest, it's really none of your concern. By the way, what happened to number 3 after the battle? Visibility was horrible, I could barely see anything below in the valley. Killed maybe? Well, that is what I would like to believe, but sadly, she's too skilled a warrior to be killed so easily. The organization was hoping to kill 2 birds with 1 stone on this mission. Galatia has been becoming quite troublesome as of late, so she was sent here along with 5 others as a special team to deal with multiple reports of enormous Yoma and awakened being activity somewhere in an area near Pieta. With her skills, even if she failed her mission and her team is killed, at least some of the Yoma threat would have been eliminated and I could report back to the organization, the exact strength of the enemy, solving both problems. Both you and the DMN organization are bastards. Outbursts like that doesn't suit a appealing woman like yourself, so don't say such things, especially seeing as how I care about you dearly. Please don't try to patronize me. Anyway, the last I saw Galatia, she fell in battle between the boy and the awakened one. Her body is probably somewhere in the valley, buried in snow. With all that power the boy and Zeger's minion was throwing around, it might actually be a possibility that she was killed. However, I need to make certain by finding her body. Be my guest, just don't expect me to look for her. Do it yourself. Heh, maybe I'll just take your word for it. Maybe you should. One last thing, what are you going to do now? I'm going to see if I can help that boy, or kill him if he becomes a threat. I see. If that's all, I'll take my leave now. Miria moves down the hill and enters the valley, walking in the same direction as Ichigo did earlier, disappearing in the unyielding snowstorm. Southeast of Pieta. In a cave located in the southern area of the valley, Ichigo waits vigilantly for the storm to subside while Galatia lays on the ground unconscious, covered by his coat. The snow continues to fall relentlessly outside with no signs of stopping. How long's this snow gonna fall? It seems like I've been here for days. Ichigo thinks to himself. Just then, Galatia begins to slowly regain consciousness. Where am I? We're in a cave, safely out of that DMN blizzard. Ugh, DMN. Hey, try not to move. You've been injured, stabbed in the back all the way through your stomach. Just rest and give yourself some time to heal. Though I appreciate the concern, it's not needed. I can heal myself rather quickly if I concentrate. These wounds are nothing but an annoyance. That's what the other lady said to me. Other lady? Yeah, the one wearing a cloak and hood. She has a huge sword like yours. Humph, I thought I sensed her here. So, she didn't perish in that battle after all. I wonder who else survived. What are you talking about? Nothing, just talking to myself. It's no concern of yours. Anyway, thanks for the coat, but I don't need it. If you really want to help, collect some wood and kindle a fire, it's going to get even colder soon. Kindle a fire? How? I normally don't carry matches. Matches? These things that, make fire. Here, use this. Galatia throws a small leather sack at Ichigo. What is it? Is education in your world terribly limited or something? No. Ichigo opens the sack and pulls out a small metal container. It's called a tinderbox. Inside is everything essential to kindle a fire. For such a strong warrior as yourself, basic survival skills is something you're truly lacking. Now, if we're done with this basic lesson, don't bother me for a while, need to start healing myself. Sure. Using the flint, fire steel and tinder contained within as well as some wood he collected, Ichigo creates a small bonfire. Sitting near the warmth of the fire, he watches as Galatia quickly mends her wounds. That sure is amazing, if you ask me. What is? How fast you healed yourself. Defensive-type warriors are endowed with the ability to self-heal rapidly. We are also able to regenerate lost limbs. That sounds like someone I knew once. You seem to have stopped the bleeding from your wounds. Oh, a friend of mine, Ichigo, once gave me some of his special BL declotting ointment, which is what I used. How nice of him. Yeah. By the way, I noticed you are without your sword. I must have dropped it while bringing you here. That's quite careless of you. A warrior should never misplace one's weapon. Yeah, well, I haven't been myself lately. I wouldn't know. Anyway, what are you planning to do now? Are you gonna go back to this organization? No. Why? After seeing the organization's latest experiments, namely the current number 1 and 2, I've become rather disgusted with them. They create and employ us as if we were nothing more than a tool to be used for their own ends. Once we are no longer needed, we are simply thrown away and replaced by another. It's an endless CYCL. Case in point, they knew the current mission that was given to us was mere suicide with the possibility of survival extremely low. I'm certain one of their goals was to dispose of the troublemakers. I've truly had enough. How can a group of people have such a low disregard for human life? We aren't human to them. They see us as the same creatures we are ordered to hunt down and kill. That's just horrible. That's a pretty big understatement. Well, what are you going to do then? I've been planning this for the past few weeks and you just may have given me the opportunity. The remaining warriors will report me missing or most likely killed in battle. When they find out I'm not dead, I'll be branded as a deserter and be marked for death. My only haven would be a place where the organization's soldiers are not allowed. Is there such a place like that? I know of one. A city located south of here. Outside in the middle of the blizzard, a lone figure stands, waiting and watching. If not for the heavy snowfall, this person's evil grin would surely be visible from a great distance. Heh, you just don't FING change, do you? Southeast of Pieta. Morning. The blizzard has subsided, but the snow continues to fall gently. Ichigo awakens to the shuffling sound of metal and steel clanking together. He slowly opens his eyes and watches as Galatia meticulously dons her armor. Leaving? Obviously. It's best to depart as soon as possible, before the organization can track me down. I'm coming with you. No, you're not. Wah. First of all, I don't need excess baggage. Excess baggage? Second, your strange garments, not to mention that strange hair color of yours will draw quite a bit of attention which I'm trying to avoid during my travel as well as my final destination. Well, isn't all that stuff you're wearing gonna attract a lot of attention too? I don't plan on keeping these. Once I feel it's safe to do so, I'm going to rid myself of this armor and find something less conspicuous. So, what am I supposed to do? I don't even know where the hell I am. Not that it's any of my concern, but someone is on their way here as we speak. She seems to be looking for something, probably you. She can probably help, if she doesn't try to kill you first. If you want to take that chance, put forth more of your energy so she can locate you easier. Who is she? You'll find out. Galatia turns to leave. Galatia, wait. She stops and turns to face Ichigo. Oh, by the way, be careful. I've sensed a strange energy nearby since yesterday and it's still out there somewhere. Watch yourself, Ichigo. Another energy? Who or what is it? I don't know. Its signature is similar to yours. Just be careful. Thank you, but do you have any idea how I can get home? I'm sorry, I can't help you there. Look, it's hard to say if we'll ever meet again, but I wish you luck. Yeah, thanks. Also, I'll say this only once. Do not follow me. She slowly turns towards the mouth of the cave and disappears from sight. For some reason, Ichigo feels empty inside, empty and lonely. The one person he thought of as an ally or even as a friend, is now gone. He remains seated on the cold, damp ground, wondering what he should do. No matter how powerful he's become, he's still a child. A stranger in a strange land with no friends he can call to for help or support. This unknown and dangerous world seems to only have one cruel intent, to take the life of this young death god, be it for one reason or another. Galatia said someone is probably looking for me. More than likely, it's that lady who's looking to kill me, he thinks to himself while rising from the ground. She also said that there's someone else out there. Great, probably another hollow and I don't have my Zanpakuto. So, this is where you scampered off to. Ichigo quickly turns around and is surprised to see Miria standing behind him. You. How'd you get so close without me noticing your spiritual energy? You were probably oblivious to my presence because you're deep in thought. Yeah, I guess, I seem to get distracted a lot nowadays. So, are you here to deal with me now? As you can see, I'm practically defenseless, I don't have my sword with me. Oh, are you talking about this? She pulls out Zangetsu from beneath her cloak. How'd you find it? You left it on the ground when you took Galatia to safety. Luckily, I found it and brought it with me. Strangely enough, I also had a conversation with your Zanpakuto. You what? You spoke with Zangetsu? How? To be honest, I really don't know. When I picked up your sword, I suddenly found myself surrounded by thick fog. Then I found something that looked like your sword, it began talking to me. What? You were inside my inner world? How's that possible? What did he say? Where's he been all this time? Calm down. He only told me a few things, mostly about you and how him and your inner hollow have been sealed within the sword. Inner hollow. Yes, that's what he explained to me. How could that be? How could they be sealed? Anyways, I thought OGC was the dominate personality right now. Who? That's the name of my inner hollow, at least that's what I decided to call him. I see. Well, Zangetsu explained that OGC was subdued by someone or something. Subdued by someone or something? Who or what could be powerful enough to do that and trap both of them? He didn't say, all he said was that you would be the only one capable of releasing them and asked me to help you. Me? And you're gonna help me? After giving careful thought, I have decided to help you, but make no mistake about it. If you pose even the slightest threat to this world, I will kill you. Fair enough. If I do pose a threat, I wouldn't try to stop you. We'll see. I think my first concern is how I get back home. From my understanding, the one named Zeger was responsible for bringing you and those hollows here. Zeger? You don't remember? Sort of. I wasn't exactly myself at the time. Zeger seems to be the leader of the group that attacked you. He's a former organization researcher who was betrayed by the organization due to failed experiments which he conducted. This time, he's using those hollows to continue those same experiments. Whatever he's planning, whatever his endgame is, you seem to be a major part of it now. Why me? Isn't it obvious? When you displayed your powers to kill one of his people, you gave him every reason to want you as a specimen. He wants to combine awakened beings with powers such as yours to create an extremely powerful creature. Awakened beings? It's what the organization's soldiers turn into if we surpass our limits when using our Yoma powers. We turn into powerful demons with no humanity left and an insatiable hunger for human innards. So, you guys are like half demons? We were created this way by the organization to hunt and kill the Yoma that infest these lands, by implanting those same demons' flesh and blood with humans. That is just so DMN inhuman. People actually allow this kind of SHT to happen. Nobody knows about these things except for people associated with the organization. Normal humans that reside in these lands are too afraid of the Yoma as well as the organization's soldiers to even question the fact. These atrocities must be stopped as well as the dozen others the organization commits. I'm going to bring them down somehow, but first we have to deal with Zeger and his group before his plans come to fruition. Before you kill him, I'm gonna force him to tell me how to get home, and after, I'm gonna help you take down this organization. I appreciate the offer, but the organization is of no concern to you. I will handle things myself. Sometimes brute force isn't the answer. So what are you gonna do? I'm working on it. I see. So now what? What happened to Galatia? She left. Left? Yeah, she said she was heading to a place where your kind is not allowed, whatever that means. I see. Miria extends her arm as she gives Ichigo back his Zanpakuto. While taking it from her, they briefly touch hands, causing a strange, fluttery feeling to grow within her stomach. His touch, she thinks to herself, what is this feeling I'm getting? Are you okay? You look kinda confused there for a second. I'm fine. Come on, let's find Zeger, put an end to this and send you back home. Are you sure you're alright? Yes, I said, let's go. By the way, my name is Miria. She puts her hood over her head as the two leave the confines of the cave. Also, we should try to be a little more discreet. Your clothes and hair make you stand out quite a bit, which could be problematic. Funny, Galatia said the same thing. Anyway, do you have an extra cloak I can use? No, but we'll get one. The two begin to travel south, in the same direction where Zeger and the remaining awakened ones fled. By the way, would you happen to have an extra toothbrush? I'm feeling kinda dirty. An extra what? Never mind. Somewhere in the Zaikal Mountains, a few days later. How is he? So far, his reaction to the experiment is quite minimal. The implantation of the deceased hollow into his body is proceeding quite well, with no visible ill effects. I will have to examine him more, once he regains consciousness. If all goes well, he should be just as powerful, if not more, as the boy. Do you truly believe he will be able to defeat him? You felt it as well as I, didn't you? After he put that strange mask over his face, his uncanny power went through the roof. I am having doubts whether just one of us will be able to kill him one-on-one. Heh, that's saying a lot coming from one of the dreaded 4 horsemen. Your group raided, plundered and destroyed village after village. Not to mention the countless humans that were killed and eaten. All of this happened in just a span of a few days. From what I gathered as well, it was you people that caused a former number 2 of the organization to awaken, as well as the other 3 soldiers in his group. Even after their awakening, only one barely survived, but even more impressive is the fact that all of you were lower ranked than that former number 2, Ricardo. That was, a long time ago. I have grown wiser and I'm not as foolish and reckless anymore. It's just as well. I need someone with your maturity and strength to lead the horde of hollowed awakened beings I plan on creating. Reinhardt clenches his fist as he stares at his comrade lying silently on the operating table. For the first time in his adult life, he feels powerless at the situation before him. I don't feel at ease using my brethren as cannon fodder. Nonsense. They are far from cannon fodder, but I feel this is the best way to gauge our target's true strength. If he is more powerful than any of you, losing one is better than losing all of you in a single, hasty engagement. Still, I'm uneasy about all of this. In an area not too far from Ziger and Reinhardt, a furious Galaver paces the room impatiently. The anger within him building greater as the seconds go by. He talks to himself aloud as if another person were in the room with him. Why the hell did Ziger pick Lovino to meliorate first? I want to be the one to kill that mother FING kid. That son of AB is gonna pay for what he did to Lugar. I'm gonna rip him apart then shove his head up his own butt. I'm gonna kill him and everyone that's helping him. They're all gonna die. F this. I'm not waiting any longer. In a fit of rage, Galaver punches a gaping hole through the wall and jumps out into the mountainous terrain. Both Ziger and Reinhardt immediately notices the explosion of Yoki/Ryatsu coming from Galaver and quickly travel to his previous location. What the hell is he doing? Where is that idiot going? It's pretty obvious, Ziger. He's out for revenge. I doubt we'll be able to stop him. In a town north of Roket. After several days of traveling, a weary Ichigo convinces Miria to rest at an inn located on the east part of town. Lucky for him, Miria has more than enough money to pay for board and lodging. Upon entering, they are warmly greeted by the innkeeper of the establishment. Hello. How can I help you today? Good afternoon. My companion and I need a room. We've been traveling for quite some time and need a place to rest. Well, you've definitely come to the right place. How many nights will the 2 of you be staying? 1, possibly 2. As Miria and the innkeeper continue their discussion, Ichigo glances down and is surprised to see a little girl staring up at him. He smiles and bends down to talk to her. Hello. My name is Ichigo, what's your name? So that's where you ran off to. A woman hurries toward Ichigo and the little girl. She picks up the girl, holding her in her arms and introduces herself as the innkeeper's wife. I'm so sorry, my daughter gets really curious at times, especially when she sees new people. She's also very quite shy. Not a problem. She's a very cute girl. She reminds me of my little sister. That's really sweet. Her name is Miyata. That's a very appealing name. It's nice to meet you, Miyata. Ichigo smiles while shaking her tiny hand. Miyata blushes and hides her face under her mother's arm. I'm sorry to have to run out so quickly, but I need to give Miata her bath and prepare dinner for everyone. It was very nice to meet you. You too. She turns around and walks toward the staircase along with her daughter. Miata turns around, stares at Ichigo, smiles, then suddenly waves at him, saying something to his surprise. Bye, Ichigo. Ichigo waves back to her, smiling as well. A warm feeling begins to wash over him, something he hasn't felt in quite some time. He watches as they disappear from sight, up the flight of stairs. A town north of Rocket. Pounding, faint at first, then louder and faster. Ichigo slowly walks down a long, dark corridor. Each footstep he takes causes the wooden floorboards to creak, creating an eerie echo which causes the hair on the back of his neck to stand on end. Where the hell am I now, he says to himself, and what the hell is that thumping noise? As he makes his way towards the strange sound, he slips and falls, landing on his hands and knees. Cursing out loud, he stands back up and brings one of his hands close to his face. Red liquid begins to drip from the tips of his fingers and palms down along his forearm and into his sleeve. What the hell is this, BLD? He looks down to see a pool of BLD on the floor and next to it, a dead human body, heavily mutilated. In fear, he steps back, scanning the area for possible threats while reaching behind him to grab his Zanpakuto. He clutches nothing but empty air. Where's my Zanpakuto? He quickly turns around and decides to head back the way he came, but stops in his tracks due to a wall suddenly appearing in front of him, blocking his route of escape. What the hell is going on here? Yelling at the top of his lungs, where'd this wall come from? As more fear overcomes him, he turns back around and continues to scan the area ahead. The faint outline of dead bodies can be seen littered along the elongated hallway. Some bodies are decapitated, others are dismembered. Horror begins to overcome him as a red light materializes at the end of the corridor, forming the outline of a door. Suddenly, he hears the familiar voice of a woman calling his name. Ichigo. Miria. Don't, stop. Ichigo runs forward towards the glowing door, disregarding his fear and the seemingly endless bodies along the way. As he approaches, the pounding sound increases in volume and rate, almost to the point of driving him insane. Ichigo tries to open the door, but it's locked. Ichigo. Fearing for her safety, he begins kicking and punching the locked door until it finally breaks and splinters. He rushes through the threshold and pauses. The sight he sees before him horrifies his young soul. Wah! More dead bodies are strewn all over the unnaturally large room, hundreds of them, maybe even thousands. In the center of this genocidal-like chaos is Miria and another person, both naked, having SXL and TRCRS, almost violently. He tries to look away, but his body doesn't respond. He wants to run away from this horrific sight, but something is preventing him from leaving the room, something or someone. He's forced to watch as Miria is continuously pounded by the unrelenting figure of a man lying on top of her. Her moans and screams are not of pain or anguish, but of pure, unadulterated pleasure. It's torture for Ichigo's mind and soul, having to be the audience for such an event. Ichigo continues to try and force himself to look away, but to no avail. As he continues watching, he notices something very strange, his Zanpakuto, lying on the ground next to the two lovers. The blade and handle of his sword are covered in BLD. Suddenly, the man stops all motion and turns his head to stare at the Shinigami. What's wrong, Ichigo? Don't like what you see. Too bad, 'cause when I take over, all of these dead humans will be your legacy. He. Ichigo's eyes grow larger as he sees the familiar face of the person entwined with his female ally. The man's eerie grin grows wider and more evil-looking as Miria moans a few words. Please, don't stop, Ichigo. Don't worry, I'm never gonna stop. I'm gonna be around forever. Miria smiles and grabs him by his orange hair, pulling his head down on top of her melons. He begins kissing and licking her body, causing her to even louder than before. He turns Miria over, FNDLNG kissing her derriere, which causes her to howl as her body twitches and convulses with SXL joy. Heat and sweat pour from their bodies as they continue their animalistic CTS. Ichigo screams, louder than he's ever screamed in his life. No. He wakes up, screaming as sweat flows from every pore of his body, soaking the sheets of the bed he's laying on. He looks around to find himself in the room which he and Miria have rented. The light from the morning sun shining partially on his face through the small openings of the drapes covering the window. Nightmare, it was only a nightmare. Ichigo utters with a sound of relief in his voice, it seemed so DMN real, I could have sworn. He looks over to the other bed, which hasn't been slept in or touched. Miria, where is she? He then looks across the room near one of the corners and sees Miria sleeping in a strange position. Her huge broadsword implanted in the floorboard as her body lay resting against it. That's kinda weird, he thinks to himself, she doesn't look very comfortable. I wonder why she didn't sleep on. Ichigo, more. What the hell? Alarmed, he jumps out of bed shaking his head in disbelief. He slowly walks over to her, calling her name in a low but firm tone. Miria, Miria. No response. He kneels down and grabs her shoulder, shaking gently while calling her name. Suddenly, she grabs his hand and pulls him closer towards her, nearly giving him whiplash. He can feel her warm breath blowing across his skin as both of their lips nearly touch. He notices that she seems to still be sleeping and breaks free from her grasp, yelling her name quite loudly, which finally awakens her from her slumber. What, Ichigo, we, both of us were. It's alright, you were just dreaming. Dream? That's something I haven't done since before it seemed so real, we were both in a room filled with dead human bodies. You were making love to me. No. I'm certain that it was only a dream. But the scent of your body, I could smell it, I could taste your. I said it was only a dream. Maybe. What do you mean maybe? Just then, a sudden knock alarms both of them. Ichigo quickly stands up and walks to the door. Who is it? I just wanted to let you know that breakfast is ready. Both of you should come downstairs soon, before it gets cold. We'll be down in a minute. Thank you. Okay, it'll be waiting for you. Ichigo listens as the footsteps move down the hallway to the next room. He turns to Miria and says. Come on, we should hurry up and get ready. You're right, we should hurry. Ichigo smiles, extending his hand to help Miria up from the floor. She accepts his offer and grabs hold of him, which causes that strange, fluttery feeling in her stomach to return. She pauses for a second, which Ichigo quickly notices. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine, don't worry about me. Miria stands up and walks over to her personal effects, which she has neatly set in a pile on one of the tables. She turns to look at Ichigo, who is oblivious to her fixed gaze upon him and wonders what these feelings are that arises every time they touch. The dream that she had seemed so real. As the minutes pass, her body wants more of him, his touch, his scent, and even the warmth of his breath. She has never had nor needed male companionship like this before, and these feelings are totally alien and uncharacteristic of her. Are these the same feelings that Claire has over the human boy which accompanied her before? Ichigo. Yeah, he says while turning to face her. I would like to ask a favor. Anything. During your battle with one of Zeger's men, you displayed a technique, something which I'm quite interested. A technique? Which one? The one where you circled him and moved so quickly that you created multiple afterimages of yourself. It's similar to my mirage technique, but far more superior. You mean Shuinpa? Shuinpa? Yeah, it's also called flash steps. Although, the version you saw was in my Bankai form. What about it? I'd like to learn it. You'd like to what? Is there a problem? No, not at all. Alright, How about after breakfast then? Sure, after breakfast. Thank you. No problem. Another thing, I feel we should leave this town tomorrow morning and search for signs of Zeger elsewhere. Okay. We'll head west. Hopefully, we'll find clues to his whereabouts in a different town. Yeah, hopefully. By the way, the little girl seems to be growing quite a liking to you. Little girl? The innkeeper's daughter. Oh, Miata. She's really cute, she reminds me of my little sister. I see. Anyhow, we should depart as soon as possible before she gets too attached to you. You sound jealous. Don't be silly. It's best to keep normal humans away from people like us. It's for their own protection. They would end up either getting hurt or possibly even killed if they were to associate with us. Is something the matter? No. Let's get going. Ichigo and Miria leave their room and walk downstairs. To their surprise, Miata is waiting for him near the entrance to the dining room. Ichigo kneels down to talk to her. Good morning, Miata. Hi Ichigo. I got something for you. What is it? Miata gives him a flower that she picked from the rear of the inn. It's appealing, thank you. I'll keep it with me all the time. He kisses her head and she blushes, then runs off smiling as Ichigo watches her disappear from sight. You really have a way with females, don't you? What do you mean? Never mind, let's go finish breakfast. I'm quite anxious to learn this Shuanpa technique of yours. Alright, let's get going. As they enter the dining room, the smell of eggs, bacon and fresh fruits sends the feeling of euphoria through Ichigo's senses. He hasn't smelled something like this since before he was pulled into this strange world. His sister would always cook breakfast for the family every morning. Home, his family, his friends, he misses every one of them. How he wishes that all of this was just some nightmare he could wake up from. He's homesick, after all, he is still a young teenager. A child who would trade almost anything to get home, but for now he is content with the few friends he's met in this world, like Miata. Especially Miria, for whom he's growing quite an attraction to. Outside, a familiar figure stands alone, hiding in the shadows, watching, waiting for something or someone. His true intentions are only known to himself. He sees nothing but irony in this whole situation. He shares his thoughts with no one. You're such an idiot, Ichigo Kurosaki. You're too stupid to even know that someone's hunting you down. I felt his Ryatsu a day ago. He's on his way here as you sit there with your girlfriend, eating. It'll be a massacre. Heh, this'll be fun to watch. He smiles, drawing back his lips and exposing his teeth. His evil grin even more pronounced than before. He utters a single comment. What are you gonna do when the big bad wolf comes knocking at your door, Kurosaki? What are you gonna do? Ha 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 ha. A town north of Rocket. It's a cold, dark night with just a slight breeze blowing through the streets and the smell of burning wood coming from the chimneys around the town. The quiet and peaceful setting is somewhat offset by the darkness that blankets the area. A mere hour after dusk, the blackened state of the sky would give even the most hardened of men a moment's pause before setting out. The seemingly serene atmosphere is only a facade. In actuality, it's the calm before the storm. Gulliver stands atop a hill near the inn in which Ichigo and Miria have sojourned. He senses Ichigo's Ryatsu as well as Miria's Yoki and can smell the several humans within the establishment. He hasn't eaten anything since leaving the mountainous Zaikal region in the west and up to this point, hasn't thought of anything else, but exacting revenge on the orange-haired boy that killed his friend. But now, the smell of numerous humans in the surrounding area is causing an insatiable hunger to build up within him. His plan at first was to mercilessly attack the inn and kill every living thing inside, but now he thinks of something better. He slowly turns around to face the small group of awakened beings he has gathered for the encounter with Ichigo, 6 in total. There's been a change in plans. We're not going to attack this town, yet. Why not? Hunger. I haven't eaten since leaving Zakal, so my strength has diminished. Myself, along with the female among your group shall pretend to be a couple and request lodging. To regain my strength for the upcoming battle, we'll feast upon the humans dwelling inside, save the boy and the former soldier. When finished, I'll give a signal to attack. Then all of you shall decimate this entire town, leaving no survivors. You are to devour everyone. How do you know they're still inside? I can't sense neither this boy or the soldier. Trust me. I felt this boy's energy as far away as Gonal. He doesn't seem to know how to suppress his yoki, although it fades at times. Also, it's a different type of energy signature compared to Yoma. Some might think that it's just a random burst of energy created by a type of natural phenomenon, like a storm. But because of my experience, I know the difference. Now, the female soldier is using yoki suppression pills, but I can still sense her due to my special abilities. Any other questions? He receives no answer but the gentle wind blowing past his ears and the crickets which play their endless song in the night. Good. Let's proceed. You're coming with me. The female awakened leaves the group to follow Gulliver as he heads down the hillside towards the inn. In an area not far from them, the mysterious person which has been following Ichigo since the beginning, watches them with eager anticipation. He suppresses his energy so as not to be detected and continues to remain in the shadows, waiting. Heh, so that's his plan, he thinks to himself, this should be fun. I wonder though, which one of them is? As Gulliver and the female enter the inn, Ichigo and Miria passes them while returning to their room after having dinner. Gulliver and Ichigo lock eyes for a split second, causing Gulliver's blood to boil with hatred, but prevents himself from attacking. I must not deviate from the plan, he tells himself while turning around to make his way to the front desk. As he speaks with the innkeeper to inquire about lodging, Ichigo and Miria continue their way to the second floor. Ichigo suddenly stops and whispers to Miria. Did you see that couple? No. Well, that man looked familiar, but I can't seem to remember where I've seen him from. Sorry, I wasn't paying any attention. My mind has been on other things, as of late. It's alright, I'm probably just losing my mind. I hope not, that wouldn't be a good thing. Yeah. They continue up the stairs and shortly, enter their room. As Ichigo removes his black coat and places it on his bed, Miria quickly glances his way. She just can't seem to figure out why she has this growing attraction towards him. The way he moves, talks and even the smell of his sweat, she finds extremely alluring. This isn't her, this is very out of character for the former single-digit warrior. She has never been attracted to anyone before, but why now, why him? Could it be the dream she had the other night, the one that seemed all too real? If it was a dream, why was she able to feel everything, every wonderful sensation, something she has never felt her entire life? The way he touched her, the way he stimulated certain parts of her body and the way he made love to her, was so wonderful that she can remember every single detail. Her body yearns for more of Ichigo. She quickly looks away as Ichigo turns to face her. You don't eat much, do you? Unlike regular humans, soldiers of the organization require a minuscule amount of food. Really? Is that healthy? I believe that it's normal for us. By the way, you learn awfully fast. It's kinda scary, to be honest. What do you mean? Shuunpa. What else would I be talking about? No. Nothing. Of course that's what you meant. Well, you explained and taught everything quite well. Compression of power instead of an expansion of it. The technique itself is quite amazing. With more time and practice, I should be able to either MSTR it or modify my own technique utilizing its principles. Yeah, you're quite amazing yourself. Excuse me. Yeah. Ichigo looks down, blushing with the clear sign of embarrassment written all over his face, then turns back to face his bed. Miria uncharacteristically smiles at him, then turns away and begins undressing. Ichigo glances over to her, but quickly looks away, realizing that she's partially naked. As she continues to disrobe, she accidentally knocks over the oil lamp which is resting on top of the table next to her. Ichigo immediately rushes over there to pick up the lamp before it can start a fire, while Miria simultaneously bends down to do the same. Their hands meet once again. Their bodies are so close to one another that they can feel the warmth of each other's breath and the heat emanating from their bodies. Ichigo's mind is telling him to stand up and move away from her, but his body refuses to do so. The sensation he gets being so close to her is unbearable. She looks into his brown eyes, almost hypnotizing her. She can hear his heart beating, ever so quickly, smell the scent of his skin and feel the strong aura which surrounds him. She grabs his hand with a firm grip and brings herself closer to him. The fluttery feeling she normally gets in her stomach when they touch, is gone. Replaced by an unyielding hunger, a craving to be smothered, caressed and touched by him. Miria brings her lips closer to his, as Ichigo's bare chest touches her uncovered melons. The soft feel of her skin and the scent of her body is so extremely intoxicating that it's driving him crazy, yet he doesn't yield. Looking down at her midsection, he cringes at the sight of a hideous deformation on her body, just below her melons. Miria quickly covers herself and turns away. "What happened to you? Is that some kind of scar from an injury or something?" "Or something. This scar is our stigma, showing proof that we are half human, half Yoma. Before we become soldiers of the organization, we are cut open, then we're implanted with Yoma flesh and BLD. Something resides within us, something that should be avoided." "Does it hurt?" "No. I'm glad." "Glad? So, you aren't disgusted?" "Disgusted of my body, of me?" "No. I could never be disgusted of you," he says, smiling at her. She hears the sincerity in his words and the look in his eyes. For the first time she can remember, a human wasn't afraid of her, didn't think of her as some kind of monster. He truly has a way with females, including herself. Refusing to hold back any longer, she grabs the back of his head and kisses him. As the light from the lamp goes out and the room turns pitch black, she remembers what Zangetsu told her, twin souls. Miria wakes up beside a sleeping Ichigo. She wonders how a warrior like herself, a leader of soldiers, lost so much control. Does she really believe that the two of them are truly two souls that are meant to be together? If it were true, it would definitely explain her recent actions, but she's always believed that nothing else controls her fate, but herself. Does she regret the things that they've done together? Turning her head to look at him, the answer becomes quite clear: she regrets nothing. Her entire life was filled with sadness, anger, horror, isolation, fear and loathing. Doesn't she also deserve to be happy once in her life, even if it is for a brief time? She understands that eventually, Ichigo will have to leave her when he finds a way home, but as long as he's here, she's going to savor every moment they spend together. As she lay in bed, the sudden sound of a woman's muffled scream brings her back to reality. She quickly stands up, pulls her claymore from the floorboard and moves back to Ichigo's bed in a split second. "Ichigo, wake up." He slowly opens his eyes and looks up at her. "What is it?" "Something is here, something dangerous. I sensed a burst of yoki but it suddenly vanished. I'm sure it's still here." "What?" He jumps out of bed while grabbing Zangetsu from the top of the headboard and quickly puts on his shihakusho. He glances at Miria but quickly looks away. Maybe you should put something on. I'll guard the door." "Right." As Miria puts on her attire and equipment, a crimson-red light begins to glow from beneath the door. They both sense the growing buildup of energy as the light gets brighter with each passing second. "Miria. Move. It's a zero." In an instant, the door and the surrounding wall explodes as the Zero travels through the room and demolishes the other wall and window in its path. The beam continues moving outside towards the hills behind the inn, lighting up the night sky. There's the signal. An awakened one shouts, "Let's move. Leave nothing alive." All 5 of them transform and quickly move down the hill towards the unsuspecting town. Splitting up, each one travels in a different direction, destroying several homes and buildings as well as killing several dozen humans still sleeping in their beds. Back at the inn, the smoke and dust created by the Zero begins to dissipate. Ichigo looks around the room, searching for signs of Miria. Miria. Cough, I'm fine. I was able to use Shuanpa at the last second. Instead of worrying about her, you should be concerned for yourself, kid. A large male figure can be seen through the smoke where the door to the room formerly was. Standing at around 6 feet 2 inches, his glowing gold eyes and the hollow hole in the center of his chest are the only features that can be clearly seen. Just who the hell are you? Ichigo shouts. He's one of Zeger's men. Correction lady, I was one of Zeger's men, but no longer. What is it that you want? What else? I want to rip that boy to shreds for what he did to Lugar. So, you're saying that you're willing to destroy this entire town just to kill Ichigo for retribution? Was bringing that horde of awakened beings really necessary? Of course. Not only do these humans provide food for my group, but they also make a great distraction. What will this boy do, engage me in combat or try to save the townspeople? Likewise, you'll be too busy helping these humans instead of aiding him. Damn it. If it's me you want, leave everybody else out of this. Why should I? We've already devoured everyone in this inn, we might as well kill the rest of the people. UBSTRD. Miria, look for the innkeeper and his family, please. I'll take care of it, Ichigo. Are you stupid people deaf or something? I said everyone's dead. Galaver hyperextends 4 of his fingers, propelling them directly at Miria. Ichigo shunpos in front of her, deflecting them with his Zanpakuto. Miria touches the back of Ichigo's shoulder, then using the technique he taught her the previous day, she instantly vanishes through the smoldering hole created by Galaver's attack and reappears on the ground, outside of the inn. This fight's between you and me. Leave her out of this. It's alright, I've got a surprise for her anyway. What do you mean? She'll find out, soon. BSTRD. Ichigo turns around, planning to follow Miria down to the ground below. But before he can move, he's shot in the back by Galaver's Zero, sending him flying through several trees and finally, crashing into a barn 100 meters away. The flower given to him by Miyata slowly floats down to the ground, landing on top of a barrel behind the inn. Galaver quickly gives chase, following Ichigo into the barn. Meanwhile, Miria meticulously searches the inn for survivors. What she finds are the mutilated and half-eaten corpses of the inn's guests, but no sign of the innkeeper or his family. Entering the kitchen, she finally finds the body of the innkeeper. Most of his internal organs have been eaten while his head is partially decapitated with only a single strand of muscle connecting it to his body. Suddenly, she hears the muffled sound of a small girl somewhere nearby. Miyata. Are you there? Miria hears the sound again, but this time she's able to pinpoint its origin to the pantry. Raising her broadsword, she hastily pulls the double doors open. Inside she finds the innkeeper's wife and Miyata, still alive. PL. Please don't kill us, the wife pleads, while a waterfall of tears fall from her cheeks. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm a Claymore. Claymore. Yes. What happened here? A woman, Yoma started killing the guests, so my husband and I took our daughter and ran here. He locked the door and pushed us into the pantry. The Yoma broke down the kitchen door and my husband tried to stop her, but then I heard an explosion and she left. I see. Now come with me, I'm going to take both of you to safety. Sure. The wife picks up her daughter and begins following Miria. Cover your daughter's eyes. Why? Just do it. Covering Miyata's eyes, she sees her husband's corpse sprawled on the floor. She stops and begins weeping. Oh no. No, 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 no. I'm sorry, but we have to go, now. Her eyes erupts with more tears as she steps over his remains and gives one last glance before leaving. Miria leads them to the back door and takes a furtive look through the opening before stepping outside. She points to a group of trees located a few hundred meters south of their position. We're heading in that direction. Follow me and stay close. Okay. Before they can move, a sudden explosion erupts from the barn, shattering every nearby window and blowing the barn door apart. The shockwave from the blast hurls Ichigo like a cannonball, sending him crashing into the stack of barrels and crates next to Miria. The flower which rested atop one of the barrels is flung into the air, then slowly floats back down, landing on the ground. Ichigo. As Miria goes to his aid, she hears a frantic scream coming from behind her. She quickly turns around to see a female awakened clutching the innkeeper's wife by her neck as Miyata kneels on the ground, covering her head with both arms. My. What a predicament you're in. Should you help your companion or these two humans? Let them go. Sure. They're no fun anyways. I'd rather kill organization soldiers, especially someone of your caliber. I'm no longer with the organization. I really don't care. I just want to have a little fun with you. Do you truly believe it'll be that easy? Actually, yes I do. Who are you? Does it matter? No, not in the least, but I'd like to know your name, nonetheless. Angelica, former number 8. I've never heard of you before. Of course not, I was a warrior decades before your time. Although, I have heard of you, Phantom Miria. How do you know my name? Now that we've finished with the formalities. Pulling out a sword from underneath her cloak, Angelica throws the innkeeper's wife to the ground and launches herself forward with so much force and velocity that Miria is violently pushed back, hundreds of feet as she blocks the attack with her claymore. Seeing Miria's situation, Ichigo quickly rises from the demolished crates and barrels. Miria. Before he can act, Galaver suddenly appears and blocks his path. Where do you think you're going, brat? If you don't pay attention to our fight, you'll lose your head, among other things. Get out of my way. No. If you want to help her, you'd have to go through me first. At that moment, Miyata finds the flower which she gave Ichigo and picks it up from the ground. I said, get the hell out of my way. And I said no. BSTRD. Getsuga 10. Ichigo. You dropped your floa. She runs over to Ichigo, holding the flower in her hand. Her mother stands up and chases after her. Miyata. Don't, her mother yells, screaming frantically. Before Miyata can reach Ichigo, her mother quickly grabs her. Ichigo turns his head and in almost slow motion, Miyata's mother drops to her knees as her head rolls off her body, BLD spraying in all directions. No. Ichigo yells. Mama. Miyata and her mother's body drops to the ground. She gets up and stares at her mother's lifeless corpse and begins crying as tears begin to fill her big, blue eyes. Mama. 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 Ichigo runs over, but before he can reach her, she gets lancinated in the abdomen by Galaver's hyperextended index finger, pinning her up against the wall of the inn. Ichigo's eyes widen as he sees BLD spurting from her mouth. No. Galaver retracts his finger, dropping Miyata to the ground. How irritating. Stupid humans. Ichigo kneels down, picking up the motionless little girl and holding her tight in his arms. Tears start flowing from his eyes as he looks up at the night sky and begins screaming. His Ryuryoku explodes like a volcano, demolishing part of the inn as black Ryatsu quickly engulfs the immediate area and hurricane-force winds sweep through the town. A single voice can almost be heard amidst all the chaos. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Hollowfied Tweaker on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.